Once upon a time, there was a mother and a father, and they had 2 children. A little boy named David and a little girl named Svetlana. Now, David and Svetlana loved being brother and sister. They spent hours playing and joking together. And David had something he liked to do every single morning. When the sun came up, he would grab his bow and arrow and he would go out and he would hunt all morning long, shooting his arrows high up into the sky. This is what David loved to do every single day. Now, there was one day when David tried to get up out of bed, but he just couldn't. He was sick. He didn't have the energy to get out of bed until the sun began to go down. And once the sun was down, David, he hopped out of bed. He suddenly had energy. He was, in fact, bouncing off the walls. And when the sun came up, he was suddenly sick again. And he was sick in bed all day long until the sun went down, when he suddenly had enough energy to hop out of bed. And he was bouncing around. He was ready to go, but it was nighttime. And when the sun rose, he felt sick again. And all day long he was sick in bed. And this happened day after day after day. The sun would come up, David would feel sick. The sun would go down, David would feel great. But Svetlana missed David. She couldn't play with him because he was in bed all day. Oh, poor David. The mother and father brought doctors from all over the place to try to figure out what was going on with David. But nobody could figure it out. So finally, Svetlana said, I will find a solution. She strapped stones to her feet. She said, I'm going to go find the sun. I'm going to figure out from the sun what's wrong with David and how he can be helped. And I won't take off these stones on my feet until I figure it out. And so, Svetlana set off from her house. And she walked, 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 and she walked. For days, weeks, she walked. Until she came to a little house. And she'd been walking for so long, she wanted to go inside. So, she knocked on the door. A kind-faced woman opened the door. Oh, my dear, you look so tired. Won't you please come in? Sit down. Have some food. So, Svetlana went into the house. But as soon as she was in the house, she heard, a terrible moaning from one of the rooms. Svetlana said, what is that awful noise? Oh, isn't it terrible? Oh, that's my daughter-in-law. She's been in labor for 3 months. Oh. Well, Svetlana thought, and then she told the woman the story of why she was on her journey. And she said, and if I find the sun, I'm going to ask him what is wrong and how your daughter-in-law can be helped. And so the woman was so thankful to Svetlana that in the morning she made Svetlana a big basket of food. And she gave it to Svetlana to take on her journey. And that's right, a big basket of food. And so Svetlana set out from the house. And she walked, 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 until she came across a field. And all the grass in that field was brown and dried up and withered. And on the edge of that field was a sickly-looking sheep with scraggly wool hanging down. Ugh. And that sheep was standing at a row of bushes with big, hungry eyes. Well, Svetlana saw that sheep standing there looking through the bushes towards a beautiful field of lush green grass, and Svetlana said, "Hey, sheep! Why are you just standing there? Why didn't you go into the field that has the lush green grass?" And the sheep said, "Oh, I would. I've been standing here for 3 years, just hungry, looking at the green grass, but I'm afraid if I cross through the bushes, my wool will get stuck, and then I'll be stuck." Well, Svetlana thought, and then she told the sheep the story of why she was on her journey. And she finished by saying, "And if I find the sun, I'm going to ask him how you can be helped." The sheep said, "Oh, thank you." And Svetlana continued on her way. She walked and 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 she walked until she came to a forest, a big, deep forest. And she started to walk through that forest until she came to a big clearing in the forest. And in that clearing stood a handsome stag. But the stag was just standing there, frozen in fear. The stag had big antlers that went way up into the sky, so high that you couldn't even see the top of the antlers. It looked like they went right into the clouds. And Svetlana said, "Stag, why are you just standing there? The forest is your home. Why don't you go into the trees?" The stag said, "Oh, I would, except, my antlers must have gotten enchanted. They just suddenly sprung up out of my head, way up into the sky, and now I'm afraid to move. I'm afraid they're going to get stuck on a tree, and then I'll be stuck there forever." Well, Svetlana thought. And then she told the stag the story of why she was on her journey. And she finished by saying, "And if I find the sun, I'm going to see if there's a way that you can be helped." The stag said, "Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that." Well, Svetlana started to walk out through the forest, but she had an idea. She looked at those antlers that went way up into the sky, and she thought to herself, up until now, I've kind of just been wandering around. But those antlers are going up so high, they almost look like they're into the clouds. I bet if I climb those antlers, I'll find the sun. And so Svetlana asked the stag if she could climb his antlers, and he said, "Oh, yeah, that sounds good." And so Svetlana jumped up and she began to climb the antlers. She climbed, and 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 she climbed. She climbed up through the treetops, up through past the flying birds, up past the stars, until she got to the top of those antlers. And when she got to the top of the antlers, she hopped off, and she was standing on the floor of heaven. And right in front of her was a house. And sitting on the steps of that house was an old woman. The old woman looked up and said, "Oh, what are you doing here? No human has ever climbed this high." And Svetlana said, "I'm here to see the sun." And she told the woman the story of why she was on her journey. The woman said, "Oh, well, I can help you with that. Why don't you come in? I'll give you some food and some rest, but when my son, the sun, comes home, I'm going to have to turn you into a broom so that he won't know that there's a creature from the earth here in the house. He doesn't like creatures from the earth. And so the old woman brought Svetlana into the house, and they sat and they had a lovely meal together, talking back and forth. And when the light grew dim outside, the woman turned Svetlana into a broom. And she leaned Svetlana up against the wall next to the table. And then the door opened. And in came the sun. Mother, it smells like a creature from the earth.
No, that's silly. There must have just been a wind coming up from the earth today, and now it's wafted into the house. Why don't you just sit here? I've made you your favorite dinner.
And so the son sat down and he began to eat.
Hum, 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 hum.
And his mother began to talk. She said, "Ah, my son, my kind son, my smart son, my sunny sunshine. You spend all day shining down on the earth below. Why, you must see all of the happenings down on earth. I wonder, are there any creatures on the earth who are in need of help? I'm sure that you would know how to help them."
"Oh, Mother, I don't want to talk about those creatures down there. They are annoying."
Really? What do you mean?
"Well, for example,
There is this little boy. Every morning he goes out hunting. He shoots his arrows up into the sky and they hit me in the face. I don't like that. One day, there was a cloudy day. A perfect day for me to sit back and relax. But here comes an arrow hitting me in the face. I had no choice but to put a curse on that boy. A curse? Well, I know how kind you are, my son. I'm sure you made a way for the curse to be broken.
oh yes, I was annoyed, not enraged."
You see, if the boy stays in a darkened room, a completely darkened room, for 17 days, at the end of those 17 days, the curse will be lifted. Oh, walls, brooms, and ceiling. Did you hear that? My son is so kind that he made a way for the boy to be helped. Oh, now tell me, son, you're so smart. I bet you've seen other people down there that need help, that you know how to help.
"Oh, well, now that you mention it, there is someone else who I know how to help.
There's a woman in a house that I shine through the windows, and that woman has been trying to birth her baby for a long time. If that woman would move from a very soft bed that she is in over to the corner where there's a hard floor, that way baby would come just like that. Oh, stove, broom, and pot. Did you hear that? My son is intelligent. Oh, tell me, surely there's somebody else who must have a way that you can help them. Well, yes, in fact, there's a sheep who hasn't eaten in 3 years. He stands at a row of bushes looking across to grass. If he would just rub his wool on one side on the bushes and rub his wool on the other side on the bushes, it would fall off and he would be able to cross through right to the green grass. Oh, curtains, broom, and table. Did you hear that? My son is so generous. Oh, tell me, there must be just one more person who you know how to help. Well, now that you mention it, I do know how to help somebody else. Who is that person? Who's the next person that needs help?
The stag.
The stag. There is a stag in a clearing in the forest, and that stag has enchanted antlers. The stag is afraid to go into the trees. If that stag would just stomp his hoof into a puddle of mud that's next to him, and then if he would drink from that puddle and shake his head, his antlers would go right back to their normal size.
Oh, chairs, broom, and carpet. Did you hear that? Oh, isn't my son the best? Okay, well, that's it. Good night.
Oh, well, don't you want to hear more?
Oh, no, we're good. Thank you.
And so the son went back to his room to sleep for the night. He had to rest up. It was an early morning. And the mother stayed in the kitchen, and she turned Svetlana back into a little girl. And she gave her some food, and she sent her on her way. And Svetlana climbed back onto those antlers. She went down and down and down and down and down and down until she hopped off the antlers. She looked at the stag and told him how he could be helped. So he immediately stomped his hoof in the mud puddle. Can you stomp your hooves with me? Ready? Stomp, 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 stomp. He drank from the water that came up. He shook his head. Those antlers went right back down to their regular size. The stag called out, "Thank you!" And Svetlana went on her way. She walked, and 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 she walked until she came across the sheep. And she told the sheep how he could be helped. And so the sheep rubbed his wool. Can you rub your wool with me? He rubbed his wool on one side, and he rubbed his wool on the other side, and whoop! His scraggly wool popped right off, and he was quite naked. And so he was able to go right through those bushes into that meadow full of lush green grass. And as he started to eat hungrily, he called out, "Thank you!" And Svetlana continued on her way. She walked and 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 she walked until she got to
the old lady's cottage.
The old lady's cottage. And when she got to the cottage, she went in, and she again heard that terrible moaning noise. Oh, oh. And Svetlana said, "Please, I know how to help the woman, your daughter-in-law. If you move her from her soft bed to the corner, her baby will come in no time." And so the woman was moved from the bed to the corner, and sure enough, that baby was born. And the mother called out, "Thank you!" And Svetlana continued on her way. And she walked 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 until she got right back to her very own house. And when she got to her own house, she went into David's room. And she sealed up the windows and made sure that the walls didn't have any cracks in them. And no sunshine at all came into the room. And then Svetlana sat right next to David's bedside for 17 days. She never once moved from her brother's side. And at the end of those 17 days, Svetlana opened up the curtain, and David jumped out of bed, ready to go. Svetlana took off her stone shoes that were now worn down. Now, David could have grabbed his bow and arrow. He could have gone out hunting that day, just like he loved to do. But instead of doing that, David jumped up. He ran to the town square. He climbed to the top of the fountain, and from the top of his lungs, he called out his thanks for his sister Svetlana, who had saved the day.